is Annie Clark Moseley. I'm 88 years old. There are 7 grandchildren and 1 great-grand with 2 more on the way. No, I was born at home, and it was in a little village called Irish Creek, Virginia, and I was born at home. There were 7 brothers and sisters. The first one was Shem, and he passed on at 19 months. The next one was Hurley, then Alma, then Fred, then Pensy, then Thurman, then myself, then Tom. Meal times was with my family in Virginia, in Irish Creek. Whenever my mother said that lunch was ready or supper was ready, and we came to the table, and my daddy always said the blessing, and then we could eat our supper. We usually ate cornbread or biscuits with some sort of meat, mostly pork, or a chicken. We grew our own garden, so we would have green beans or in season, and then we would have potatoes that we had stored in the basement, or we called it the cellar. And it was mostly beans and potatoes and bread and milk, or the older folks drank coffee. My daddy was a great hunter. He loved to hunt more than anything else. And he would go hunting for squirrels or rabbits, and when he would shoot them, we as a child would say things like, "My brains," because we loved the brains of the squirrel. And then we'd have gravy with that, squirrel gravy. And if we had any leftover potatoes, we would just have the gravy poured on the potatoes. And that would be part of our meal. I remember it, but it's hard to disguise it and describe it. It was delicious. I never had electricity until I was 19 years old. Knew it was bedtime because we had lanterns or lamps that was lit, and it had kerosene. And so we would have to take a lamp or a lantern up the steps to your bed. And you couldn't burn it very long because you would run out of oil. And if you did, then it was dark. The main chores we had 2 or 3 cows, and we had to make sure that the cows were staying in the fence. We'd go down and tend to the cows by giving them some hay or some straw or whatever we were going to give them to eat while we could get them milked. We had to milk the cow. That was the main thing we did, was bring in the wood for the fire, make sure the cattle which was only 2 or 3 cows, that was nearby, or it would go round them up and bring them closer to the house. And then my mother would usually milk the cows instead of us. There was no kindergarten, so it was first grade. And that was in Irish Creek, near our little church, which was a mile or a mile and a fourth away from my house, which we had to walk to school. We moved away from Irish Creek when I was in the 2nd grade, and I went to Mountain View School, which was down below Cornwall. And that was a small little town with nothing in it but 1 grocery store. That's where we would go to get whatever you had to have, like coffee We had our own milk with the cows there. So, but if we had needed coffee or flour or sugar, things of that nature, we could buy that there. I was a little bit of a stubborn child, but my mother always made us go to church. And I saw how she operated, and I knew that I was in a religious family. But my dad was a stickler for us having family prayer. And so when I was that age of 7 and 8, I dreaded that because we always had to get down on our knees and let him pray. And I didn't pray with him. We just had to listen to him pray for us. And the floor was hard, and you had to get down on your knees. And the children dreaded that because we knew it was uncomfortable. But they said that's what we're doing, and we followed the directions. My daddy's name was Ambrose. My mother's name was Redder. And she would tell you, you can't spell my name backwards because it was Retter. My husband's name, the one that I've had, one and only, was Robert Thomas Moseley. We were married 58 years. Oh, he was a quiet guy. He said when we were married that's why he enjoyed talking to me, because I didn't meet a stranger, and I talked a lot, and he didn't. So it gave him a chance to just listen to what I was saying. But not that I said anything that was so great, it's just that I talked a lot, and he didn't. Well, I need to back up a little and tell you how I met Bob, because when I graduated from high school in 1953, my sister lived in Charlotte, and she had asked me if she planned to have another baby, would I come and stay with her after I graduated. And my brother-in-law, Rudy, drove and met them when they got to Charlotte and brought me to their home, and I moved in with them, and I took care of Reg, which was her oldest boy, and then Tevis was born. He lived in Charlotte when I had met him, but he'd also been in Alaska for 2.5 years. He was working in the coal mines, named Usabelli Coal Mine. And he took a notion when he was younger, and I didn't know him, that he wanted to go to Alaska and work because he felt like you could make some money there. And that's what he did, but he ended up staying 2.5 years. And when he came back in '54, I went to a place in Charlotte that has young people get together, just get to know each other. That's when you could go there and dance, and you could have a Coca-Cola or a soft drink and visit. And he was there with his friend, a man named Johnny. And I met Johnny and Bob at that dance. And Bob, as I said, was quiet, didn't say much, but Johnny talked and laughed all the time. I met with Bob mostly because Johnny had a job, and Bob had not gotten a different job from the Alaska coal mine. He had just gotten back to Charlotte. So he was in the process of looking for work. Johnny had to go out of town with his job, and when he went out of town, he called Bob and said, I'm going to be here all week and I'll be in on Friday. And he asked him, have you seen Ann? Because he knew my name then. And Bob told him that he had seen me and that he had took me to a movie. And from then on, it was just myself and Bob. One of the movies I saw was Rear Window. That was with Alfred Hitchcock. I only had 2 jobs, and one was a large, beautiful building called Montaldo's in Charlotte. And I will tell you how much money I made a week, $24. And I didn't stay there but about 2 months. Then I applied for a job at Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, and I got that job. They had interviewed many girls, and they hired me. So I worked there for 2.5 years, and then I changed jobs to Johnson Motor Lines. So you can say I had 3 jobs before I had children. Then I never worked anymore until I moved to Rowan County and got a job at the school system. Well, in Charlotte, when I was not married, I hadn't gotten married then, I played on a team and I was the shortstop. And I played 2 or 3 different years. In the summertime we'd play. I was on a team, and I was, sounds braggy, but I was chosen by the coach. He said that I was the better player on the team. So I won a little thing that you wear around your neck. It wasn't anything expensive. I don't even have it anymore. It was a very small little medal. So I played there and was recommended many times or stated that I was the best shortstop they'd ever seen. And then I came to this county and I played for our church. I was the pitcher on that team to start with. And I pitched a ball and somebody hit it so hard and it came right toward me. And I couldn't get my glove up. So I just grabbed it with the bare hand. And you should have heard them roaring up on the stands that I had caught it with my bare hand. And it was driven right to me. I mean, it was coming fast, but when I saw it, I just grabbed it. Well, I was here on the farm with a herd of cattle, Angus cattle. And he lined up what was going on and told me to do these certain things. And I don't know how long you want me to go with the trip of him being gone. He would leave at 5 a.m. on a Monday morning, and he would come back at about close to 6 at the end of the week, Friday. I can tell you one thing he did that I have written a little bit in my book, and I put that in my book. He had a cow in the herd that had pink eye. When he left to go, he knew it, and he said to me, I want you to call the vet Monday morning and tell him he needs to come and do something because that cow has got pink eye. So I called the vet. The vet came, and he drove down in the barn lot, and he had a brand new truck. And he had asked me on the phone, can you get the cow in the barn? And I said, I'm not sure, but I'll try. Well, I managed to get that cow in the barn. And on the outside of the barn, there was a chute that was built around the barn. And then on the end of that chute, Bob had built a head gate. What you did was you let the cow get in that chute and go down as far as she could go, and then she'd stick her head through that gate. And then you would come around the other side. You didn't get in the chute with the cow. You stayed on the outside. And as soon as that cow got its head in there, you would pull that lever, and that would close that around her neck. And so she was caught, and the doctor would have to give her an injection in her hip or whatever. That cow was so mad about being caught in that gate that she jumped up and down the best she could trying to get out. And when she did that, she actually tore the gate up. And the whole part of the gate in front that was built like that, and then I had pulled that lever from outside, and it closed around her neck. She didn't like that at all. So she continued lunging and lunging until she tore the whole gate off the hinges and went through that chute out on the ground. His truck was sitting right close by to get his medicine. He hit his truck with that lunge. He hit it again, and he hit it again, until he found a way to get around that truck and ran down the hill, fell down on her knees, got back up, and went down in the field with that hanging on her neck. So the veterinarian said, when he saw what she was doing to his truck, "Oh my goodness, that's my brand new truck." And I said, "I am so sorry, but that's not helping matters for me to tell you that, but we have insurance." And he said, I said, "Do you want me to try to get around it and bring her back?" He said, "No, let her go. I don't care if the damn cow dies." That was what he said. I guess I would have to say for a month, Bob and I and Cookie and Rudy went out west. We left here in May the 20th, and Bob had made a list on the computer of where we were going and where we were going to be stopping, in what town. We didn't have any reservations. We just knew we were going to go from here to Tennessee, and there to the next place, and the next place. And so we went out west and was gone a month. And we went all the way to California. By that time, Mark, my foster child, had gotten married, had a 3-year-old, and was stationed at Mount Magoo, California. Then we went from California across to South Dakota and came back a different way and came all the way back to Mount Lula. I think we need to eat something at 1, but I don't know what we're going to eat. We could fry some bacon and have a bacon and a tomato sandwich. My words of wisdom is to be honest at all times. Always tell the truth. Consider other people and what they need, and see if you can be of any help to them. That would be my suggestion. Be yourself, tell the truth, always be available when you say you will be, and do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Great advice. change?
No,
No?
I really don't have any regrets.
I got an angel of a woman with big brown eyes, got friends in the country, and old neckties, love big cheeseburgers and good french fries. Good go fishing, but the fish draw flies. Good go swimming if it ain't too deep. Ready to sit here, rest my feet. No, I ain't lazy, cause I don't like to sleep. I might just be lazy.